Hi guys, this is Bill from Spencer1984.com with another update to the Ferris Bueller's Day Off Ferrari 250 GT California. And this week, I'm going to be starting with how I'm fixing the door panels. The kit supplied door panels are straight out of Bueller's 250 GTO with a more stripped down racing look, and they have these big oval openings. Their only nod to the 250 GT California's interior is these door pockets to fill in the holes, but they're too big, too high up, and the rest of the door hardware is still missing. Now, the good news is that the stock door panels are pretty simple, so I'm going to start with some 40 thousandths or 1mm sheet styrene. I'm going to keep the upper sills, so I've cut a strip of the same height as the rest of the door panel, and lining it up, the height looks pretty good. So, using the original doors as a guide, I now have a set of plain flat panels. I've got them marked left and right since the face sides will have their corners rounded off, but otherwise they're identical. And lining them up with the 250 GTO doors, they ought to fit just fine. So next I'll cut off this top sill so I can glue it to the new panel, and I can move on to fixing the pockets. So not only are these way too big, the mounting plug on the back makes them way too thick. So following the guide at ItalianHorses.net, I fixed the size and shape of them so that they're more accurate to the 250 GT California interior. And not only are they smaller, they're thinner, so they ought to fit better once they're installed down where they're supposed to go. So now I'm going to glue these into place on my custom door panels. And this is what the doors look like assembled. I also added a gusset from thin styrene to the back of each to give them a little more strength. And now at this point, these are pretty much ready for paint. And along with more accurate door panels, I also sourced a pair of more screen accurate seats. These are from Daewoo's Aston Martin DB5 kit, and were something I had started years ago as an attempt to build the Goldfinger car, but I ended up botching badly enough that the whole thing was turned into a parts kit. So I removed the headrests and the side detail, and did a little reshaping at the corners to better match the Ferrari seats in the movie. They're not perfect, but they're a lot better than what came in the kit, and I think they'll look the part once they're painted and installed. And this is what they look like in color. I used Model Master's Modern Desert Sand, one of the few cans of Model Master I still have left over since Rust-Oleum pulled the plug on the brand. The door panels are painted the same, and I think they've turned out pretty decent. They're certainly a lot better than the original kit parts. So, now I just need to add the hardware, and for that I'll be using Detail Master's Interior Detail Set Number 1. These were another recommendation from ItalianHorses.net. And while the door handles and window cranks are arguably a little generic, I thought they looked really good on his build. So, I'm going to get these installed. And this is where I'll be wrapping things up this week. First, here are the almost finished door panels. I did add a little section of plastic for the crank knob. Otherwise, these are straight out of the Detail Master set. And I still need to add the pull handles, but I wanted to wait until the seats are in so I don't pop them off accidentally. I installed the one to get an idea of what it was going to look like, and did need to do a little fine-tuning, but otherwise it fit like it was supposed to. I'll be keeping the rubber floor mats black, but I will be doing a little more work on the firewall and pedals. I've got the inner fenders installed, but actually screwed that up a bit by installing the exhaust headers wrong. The forward header on each side is supposed to fit the inner pipe, and the rear should be the outer pipe, but I got those switched. So now the forward header sticks out more than it should, and actually hits the inner fender. It's not off by a whole lot, and I was able to get it to connect to the radiator cross member like it should by bending this part here, but that's still on me. Otherwise, the engine and chassis are just about done. I want to add some fuel lines and linkage before I put the radiator in, and this kit doesn't look like it has a radiator hose, so I'll need to fix that. The brakes and shocks are in, ready for me to assemble and install the wheels. And I did have to shorten the shock absorbers a hair and add new pins to the top, but nothing too bad. I also have the dashboard all painted and decaled, and these were the gauges provided in the kit, and were actually really pretty good. And then the last thing is, I got the body painted. Seems ended up pretty well gone, so I'm happy with that. And the color is TS8 Italian Red over pink primer for that really bright pop. It still does need to be polished, but the humidity has been really high lately, so I wanted to give it some extra time before I do that. And so, that's where things are. just the wheels and a few details to add, finalize the body, and get the sub-assemblies pulled together. So I will be working on all of that over the next few days and should have the final reveal ready for next week. So you can check back then, and thanks for watching.